Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterland universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
Send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode, another great guest. One of my personal favorite people in the Praetorian universe. Kind of disappeared for a little while, so a little bit of a happy homecoming here at TPG this week. Very proud to welcome back to the show one Sir RoguePatton. What's up, Rogue? Good to see you, man. Welcome back.
What's going on, guys? Glad to be back. I think you're only so happy to see me because, like, I think you've got like 100% win rate against me at this point. Like, I feel like you have my number, and it drives me nuts.
Oh man,
absolutely. Every
drives
time
me nuts too, Rogue. I love it. It's great. As soon as I see that name, RoguePatton
didn't
pop
used
up,
to be
I know
that way.
It didn't used to be that way.
Didn't used to be that way. That's why
I've
you don't
definitely
take
had
breaks,
you the last
ladies
few,
and gentlemen. But no, it's glad to be back. Glad you guys are still here. Glad everybody's still here. So good to be back.
Yeah, man. What have you been up to? And you're back grinding it out now, huh? On the old Splinterlands, or
Yeah. So my twins were born last year. And shortly after that, with the Splinterlands TV kind of dissolving and everything, what else was happening? The mobile switch, that was, I think, like a big crux for me, is when they moved everything to that .next, that first iteration just was terrible for me. Very buggy and really interrupted my play. And so I got very frustrated, actually, because I am a mobile player. And I felt like I couldn't play the game at the top level at that point. Plus, they had just made the adjustment to points, and it became clear that you weren't ever going to top a leaderboard unless you had 500, 600, 700 games in or something along those lines, right? Like, that idea of the scholar running your account and just pushing games at like a 55 to 60% win rate, it's almost like it's just almost unbeatable. So, like, all of that combined just really discouraged me from playing for a while. So I ended up just kind of switching the account over to botting in Wild, and I did casual games here and there whenever I felt like it, jumped on, did my brawls, but really was off for the majority of the winter into summer. And then I would say it's maybe been like 2 or 3 seasons now. I think I've been back, maybe 4 at this point. I don't know. Time goes by so fast now. But yeah, no, I came back about halfway through the legendary summoner airdrops, and just started to, listen and enjoy content again and just get back into the game at that point. And the soulbound unlocking, that was like a big thing I was waiting for. So, it was just all, I think it was just time that my life kind of had started to stabilize. The twins are now getting to an age where they're not as high demand as they were. So, a little bit more blocks of time that I can commit to other projects. So yeah, that's kind of what has happened.
nice, man. Yeah, great to have you back.
Mm.
I know how that goes with the kids. You just wait. So are they at like a year old now or around that?
Yeah, the twins are a year and a couple months at this point.
Okay.
And so I've got 5 turning 6 this month, and then I've got 3-year-old and then the twins.
Yeah.
And so 4 boys.
Wow, man. Bang them out. Can't
I'll
miss,
tell
huh?
you what, when I started playing Splinterlands, I think I only had one at the time, and we had the second one, and I remember being on stream. This was back when like Luthien was around, everybody was around, and we were doing early Splinterlands TV. I remember Jackson being a baby, and having like that one stream where my wife interrupts the stream halfway through and she's like, "There's poop everywhere. There's poop everywhere." I'm like, "Oh, okay. All right, we gotta pause the stream, guys." But man, yeah, so here I am, like 3 years later. Jax is like, yeah, time flies, man. Time
Yeah,
flies when you're having fun.
yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, I hear you. So, how are you liking the mobile experience these days? I know Ben and I were talking about this a little bit. It kind of definitely, kept, kind of knocked off my amount of playing as well, where it was just a little jacked up at first, and it seems like it's gotten a little bit better. So, how's your kind of experience now? They've made some changes, some fixes with being able to see the time and everything, and being able to
hmm
sort a little bit easier.
hmm
How are you liking it now?
I'm loving it. Honestly, I have zero issues playing the game now. I prefer mobile over desktop, and it's especially like honestly that new feature that they just launched yesterday, like with the Tuesday update. Oh my goodness, that is so clean. That nav bar is awesome.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the new setup. And so at this point, I I don't have to turn my screen until I watch the battle. That's it. Everything else I can run smoothly from, the up and down phone version, and like I'm 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 very impressed. They have done a fantastic job at this point.
Awesome.
Awesome. I
High
need to
praise.
revisit mobile. I think I texted both you guys in our little battle royale group, whatever it was, 9 months ago when I tried my first and only mobile battle from the browser, and I was stuck not being able to input tactics. And
Yep.
I guess it's come a long way. So tactics are a non-issue, and you have
Yeah.
no problems sorting through monsters and rearranging your lineup and anything like that.
Yeah, there's no real issue there so much. The only issue that I came across recently, or at least I did last season, was I had decided that carrying a full collection was no longer in the best strategic interest. Playing
Mm,
on mobile, like because the screen is the way it is, there was a lot of scrolling when you own every card that's been printed for Modern. And so I'd finally decided, and like honestly, I felt like I was I was sinning against myself at that point because I had spent years telling everyone that you need every card. At any moment, you do not know when that weapon will be the difference between a win and a loss. And so here I was, finally, I'm just like, no, this is too many cards to scroll through. And I haven't played that card in over a year. You're going on the rental market. And so I literally just listed, even if it didn't rent, I didn't care. I just needed it out of my visual collection. So that way I could go that route. Then I actually backtracked on that this season because Archmage went out and completely beefed up their bot, and their bot did great last season. Absolutely great. So here I am. I'm like 51st on the leaderboard in Wild or something like that,
oh,
and
wow.
I had completely gutted my collection. So like I'm like my C-Rex not there, like none of like the kind of niche cards that I feel like the bot would really take advantage of right now. I'm like, dang it. So now I'm back to the full collection, and I'm just gonna have to figure it out because Archmage is killing it. For the first time, I actually was leaderboard last season, and it was kind of a strategic approach. Right at the very end, last 20 hours, I had kind of been saving my energy for a while and got back up to full energy, and then just turned the bot on for like 3 games an hour and slammed 60 games in the last 20 minutes. Did like a big rental on Untamed. And I say big rental. This is probably like another thing I want to talk about. Holy crap, Untamed is ridiculously cheap to rent. I didn't realize that. Like I literally had not thought about that series in forever. And so finally I'm like, I think the most I paid was like 115 DEC for Kitty. Like everything
Wow.
else was 10, 20 DEC. Like I got out of renting a lot of very meta untamed cards for like I think 800 DEC for 2 days is what
Wow.
I ended up. And so like in my mind I'm like if I make 20, this will be worth it. So I'm just dumping it on, letting the bot do its thing, and it worked. It absolutely worked. Got like I think I was right there though. I got the ranking to like I started at 4580 and to be top 50 it ended up being 4920 or something like that. It was a lot in those last but yeah, but we ended up making it. So yeah, I might be utilizing that strategy again this season because naturally I think just with the modern collection the bot was doing really good keeping you close. Like I was between 50 and 65 all season, you know. Just could never push because I never gave it enough games to do it. So, but
I'm wondering what some of those cards were that you had put on the rental market that you
well,
feel like you hadn't used at all.
I'm gonna be honest, I think a lot of them were Rift Watchers are generally like if I look at the Rift Watcher legendaries, there was a handful of these. Like I think I ended up putting the Redwood, I put Kane Hayes, I put Mordeus, Raw. I did Raw, but it was not. I don't. I just did it because I didn't naturally go for Raw too much. But Raw's a
Hmm.
good card. Searek and Rune Monster Atuat. Those are like some of the ones I put in there.
I
Nice.
didn't hear
Skaven.
Grandpa Dallin make that list.
You right, because I didn't get to the epics yet. So Grandpa Dallin was definitely right. I mean, honestly, all the Rift Watcher summoners except for Ilthane, they were all I threw them all out. And then so pretty heavy there, and then I think a lot of the chaos too. Uh, I don't think there was like I got rid of Carnage Titan. Um, Desert
Oh,
Dragon wasn't really running Desert Dragon. Grum Flame Blade. Um, Legionnaire, Alvar. I
Hmm.
don't think I was like at the end of the day, I don't know. You start playing enough of these matches and you just don't touch some of these cards anymore. Like
Yeah.
Uriel the passive the
Yeah.
purifier.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm always going for like if I've got the mana for it, I'm usually going for
inevitable.
inevitable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Inevitable. Yeah.
You know, so
He
it's like
definitely replaced with the,
it's
I mean, because then you would use that card in like poison matches and stuff too, right? And so having inevitable just kind of replaced
yeah.
that
And then
automatically.
even in the like earthquake matches, I don't know, I've got shield and repair. So
Yeah.
it's not flying, but it's also not really affecting earthquake so much.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just in my mind, inevitable is just a better card. And so, but I mean, there's situations, but yeah, just running through it, you get to a point where, and especially when you've got that big of a collection, you kind of generally know what meta cards you're going for, and you build the rest around it.
Yeah. Kind of
And
have
it
to, you
doesn't
have to do
deviate
it that
too
way, right?
much,
Yeah.
you
Especially,
know?
especially with mobile, you have to know like I need to these
Exactly.
3 or 4 cards are what I'm going to play, and then how much mana do I have left?
Hmm.
It's funny you mentioned C-Rec, man. It makes me. I was like, oh yeah, C-Rec. Like I can't. I don't think there's ever been a card I was like more excited for when I saw it come out,
Hmm.
and then wound up just like it not working where you thought it was going to work, and just like never playing it. I probably maybe played that thing a half dozen times.
Hmm.
And like maybe I don't even know if I've ever won a match with it. And it was never the right decision. I like not at any time, not in reverse speed, amplify, like all the things that you think are gonna like beef it up. I don't know, man. It just never worked.
Well,
Yeah.
I think C-Rec has kind of turned the corner. Cryptic and C-Rec is a play that
Oh,
I
I
run
didn't think of
into
that.
more now.
I don't
Uh,
have cryptic yet. I gotta
oh man, yeah,
get on that.
Cryptic is still my favorite of the bunch thus far. Um,
Yeah.
I'm still
I
waiting for the
yeah,
prices to come down. Did you keep up with the legendary summoners? Do you have all the legendary rebellion
yeah, I
summoners,
mean,
Rogue?
again, I'm blessed. I don't the Rebellion set, I'm not playing with my own cards.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
it has been kept up for me, you know. But yeah, I am not lacking anywhere there. So still fully supported where that's concerned. And so, yeah.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
saw Archmage has dropped a number of, you just mentioned that Archmage really kind of cranked up the dial on their bots performance. And I saw
Mm-hmm.
that they, Hep, when we had Proto on, he was talking about bringing tactics to the bot and making them available for kind of those decisions with, that separate tactics from the rest of the summoners. And I'm guessing that
Yep. I
that's
think that was the
where
change that
the
they made.
yeah, where the page was really turned with
Mhm.
Archmage. I
Yep.
wonder, Proto was talking specifically about certain tactic summoners that he feels like the bot in testing were really performing well. Like Prophet Rosa was one that I think he called out specifically that is just significantly underutilized according to what he's seen the bot run in test. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, I wish we would get some. They ran it once upon a time where they offered insights into how the bot was playing hands according to rule sets and mana caps,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of unlocking new meta. Um, uh, it's kind of the secret sauce, the recipe for the secret sauce, but at the same time, it's great for the ecosystem, great for the card market. If there's stuff that's being heavily underutilized and winning at a good clip, I feel like that's yeah, there's definitely some magic in what they're doing. And unlocking some new meta is a very cool kind of byproduct of what Archmage is doing. And I think I saw them announce that they secured 8 of the top 10
Yeah.
leaderboard spots in Wild,
Yep.
which is just
Yeah, that
crazy.
was
That's
previous season. Yeah. And
gotcha.
but I think that was when they were kind of running low key at that point. But yeah, after that, I mean, because I noticed they play they play the EMP, they play Tofu, I've even seen Squirrel, Cryptic. Like it's not shying away from the tactics occasionally, but it's also not leaning on them entirely too. Like still plays Lily Shield Paw, still goes into 3 mana dual summoners. Like it's very creative, very
Hmm.
creative.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. It's good to hear it's not tofu spam everywhere then. That's
mm-mm,
good.
mm-mm.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I'm curious to see how Nidhoggr pans out. We're a couple of weeks away from that. Uh,
Yeah.
but before we dive into some other stuff, let's hear your. I've always admired your ability to kind of pick apart cards and look at where are they going to fit in the meta and is it going to be meta. I guess we can acknowledge the fact that you missed the mark with C-Rec, but that's all right. Let's see what are your thoughts on Nidhoggr, man? We talked about him a little bit on a previous episode, but I'd love to hear
All
your
right.
thoughts being an ex-YGGer. It's kind of near and dear to the brawler's heart.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, this little dangly guy hanging from his tooth. That's just weird. This is weird.
It's a massive savage dragon, man. Hey, the artwork is a significant improvement on Biz and Lily. I like the shift to what a dragon should look like.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. All right. So I think if I remember you guys talking about this, I agree that the force reduction means nothing. I don't see a situation where that negatively impacts or like sways your decision to like not run a Nidhogg the in place of the sixth monster. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, let me go. Let me look this up. You guys are all pronouncing that R at the end, and is that intentional?
I looked up the phonetic pronunciation and the D is actually like a TH. So if I'm remembering
Nithog, huh?
correctly, I think it's Nidhoggr
Okay,
is what it should be.
got it. Got it. Because yeah, I've always been familiar with like Nidhogg in terms of like just a dragon in a lot of fantasy games. So like there was a couple Nidhoggs in Force of Will when I played and all that. So I didn't know, but anyway, back to the card.
Mhm.
Minus shield, minus speed. Definitely appreciate those. The 10 mana is going to be the interesting part. I do not see an ability on here that makes me want to try to slam this in a less than 20 mana rule set, which is interesting because there are a lot of the other legendary summoners that I feel like you can put together really good teams with that 13 remaining mana. Um, I'm looking at these abilities and I don't know if I would try to throw a low mana team together with Nidhogg, mainly because that's where the sixth person would come in handy. And so I don't know how much higher than 20 I kind of draw that line. I don't know if 30 is even considered. There's somewhere in between 20 and 30 where I think it might just be a no play. Um, you guys had kind of mentioned the what is that, Death Blow? Is that what that one
Yeah.
is? Blast is cool. Three people with blast is awesome. Death blow on 3 units is going to be really interesting because, as you guys had mentioned, that's an ability that you just accidentally have. You don't ever play for it, but if you're assigning it to 3 things, it will come into play more than I think it ever has accidentally. It could really sway some of those matches. So I like the blast and the death blow. I think that'll be the most prominent of the abilities. Um, but I think the execute has a couple bugs in it that are still pretty interesting. I think you guys had mentioned that on your show was like if you put Chaos Dragon with execute and it gets blasty, like how does it treat blast? We've seen that with that new promo card coming out that with the execute and blast on that sneaker, like it is currently programmed that it will attack the blasted unit again if the blasted unit is below 2, which I think Jangles, you agree that's not fair.
Yeah, I think it
So-
was called out. I think Joey, Breaking Benjamin, called out that it's a bug because essentially
okay,
it
good.
turns into a sneak, execute, and opportunity all of a sudden.
Oh yeah.
It's
And
it's
double, yeah,
just completely
it
broken.
increases its chances for double strike. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So with that being fixed, I think I would like that. Execute though is one of those abilities that I haven't really figured out yet. Again, throwing execute on 3 monsters might be really interesting. Um, because then again, you're just getting that better value, but like outside of the new promo, like we have the execute on the epic and there hasn't been really many matches right now where I'm like I'm going to run this execute intentionally targeting this specific play that my opponent's going to make. I haven't found that one yet.
I think
So
Tofu completely ruins
ruins it. Yeah,
that card.
exactly. Cuz yeah,
So
you're going to get thorns.
yeah, on that
Yeah.
thought, we haven't had we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, a couple episodes ago. Uh, I want to see a new influx of rule sets, and one of them being no legendary summoners, which gives room for cards like that to come into the mix. Because as long as green earth is on the table, uh, you've got to expect that tofu is coming out to
Mhm.
play, and you're that what is it, Thanalorian blade
Mhm.
or something like that.
Yeah.
That card is never going to get playtime as long as Tofu's in the mix. Maybe that'll change with I think the blast. I have done some testing with the Night Stalker. That card is so much fun, by the way.
Mhm. It really is.
Um, but if you can tack Nidhoggr with the Thanalorian blade and provide the native execute with the blast, all of a sudden it's a much more viable play. But um Yeah, I think seeing a rule set like no legendary summoners would benefit a lot of these cards that are just completely, ruled not possible to play because the counter is coming.
Hmm. Generally the minus shield and minus speed. I think those are two good static abilities. The +2 speed, or sorry, the minus, oh, that's a minus health, minus shield, minus health. Um, those are nice. The +2 speed on its own, that's where for me, I'm wondering how execute's gonna come into the mix. I'm looking at execute on I'm trying to see it on cards that are like double striking in nature, either with a shield strike or with so like execute on Mantaroth. That would be interesting. Or execute on your Drybone Raider, like 4 attacks or something like that, you know what I mean? Because then each of those single instances you would get re-triggers, right? Um, so maybe I could see that in like trample rule sets, kind of going after that execute. Because I would imagine that could give you that oomph that you need. So like Venka, execute with a Venka would probably be pretty sick. Because Venka's taking them down pretty low, in a lot of situations. So
I wonder if so you just called out the Raider, and something that I'm really interested to see, and this will be the first episode in a long time that I've called out a potential for the rebirth of Grandpa Dallin.
all right.
I want to see how the Night Stalker. I'm still
Just for you,
vying for
Rogue.
it. I'm still vying
Just for
for
you, Rogue.
it. I want to see how the Night Stalker operates with Dallin. Because you have to expect that there's going to be a bunch of armor in the back to protect from the Night Stalker. Uh, if you're crippling on top of that, you're just going to be triggering that execute that much faster. So I just wonder if that's a viable play. You're the Drybone Raider with the execute, the cripple, the shatter. Yeah, that's gonna be a must play with
Cripple with
Nidhoggr.
execute. That's gonna be interesting. Cripple with execute's good.
Yeah.
That's a
We'll
real
see.
good one.
Theoretically, maybe Dallin finally gets his
Hypothetically speaking, I mean,
maybe he
the
gets his
main
day.
problem with Dallin is just, it's like there's every other Black Summer that you want to play before him, you know? And so, I mean, because then like the argument there is like, all right, cool, you're just trying to stack, like you're just trying to really stack these executes. Like go in with Recula and start doing the -2 health. Like get real specific with like where you're targeting the -2 health to trigger executes, you know?
Also
Um,
true. Yeah.
or really, what was the old strategy in Untamed was just
Weaken,
running
weaken, weaken.
yeah, weaken,
Mhm.
right? Just there you go. You've got your
Execute from the get, man. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
like
fun.
yeah, it's like
Mm.
instant because yeah, there's no how many weekends can we put on a black team right now? I know some of them rotated,
Two?
but I think we
Is
can
it
still
two?
do.
There's the
Let's see.
6 mana um flying one, right? That has weekend, and then who else has it? I know there's one other.
Executioner Kron,
Oh yeah,
Will
that's
o
right. That's
Wisp,
new 23. Well,
and
yeah, the will o
Blight.
wisp. That's what I was
Will-O-Wisp.
thinking of.
Yeah.
And Blight.
And blight.
Yeah, Blight's the big one. Blight and Thaddeus Brood, right? Just them two themselves is taking 1 health each. And so yeah, in low mana matches, there's probably not a lot of cards back there that are gonna survive, getting executed and blasted. Oh my goodness. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I gotta drop a lot of DEC on this one, guys.
I know, right?
Oof.
I'm pretty excited about these promos. I think I've already done up the artwork. You've got the Night Stalker on your episode thumbnail.
Thanks, man. Does that mean I get a Max Gold foil copy for free?
You're gonna have to ask your benefactor, brother.
No.
Yeah,
I should
the
ask my
the
benefactor
pricing
about that
stuff
one.
is the pricing stuff, we've talked ad nauseum about it. I think it's a missed opportunity. The team doesn't, the whales don't. It's not gonna happen.
It's we talked about it, and there's the main message I want to get to the company is I want for them to get on a consistent, repeatable yearly schedule. That's all I care about at this point. Like, I want to know that the game I'm playing is going to release cards, a main set in this month. There's going to be a mini set at this month. There's going to be promos here and there. Like, it's repeatable. I can budget for it. That's what, like, normal people that aren't waiting for giant windfalls from crazy melt facing bull runs. You know what I mean? Like, did I say that backwards? I said melt facing.
Yeah, that's right.
Face
That's
melting.
face melt facing.
You
your
know what I
point
mean?
was
Like
still
normal
taken.
people that are
Yeah.
just trying to play trading card games need consistency. And so I don't care if you want to replace, if you want to print 12 promos in a year, sure. Just let us know and do it repetitively every year. If a set of cards is going to include 25 promos, then just repeat it. The problem is they haven't been able to repeat a recipe of success for now 3 sets in a row. Untamed Chaos and Rebellion. They're all obnoxiously unique. And we have pros and cons of Rebellion now. And so we're still not even like when the next set comes out, not even really set that like that set's gonna be clear, you know?
And not to mention the mini set is still up in the air.
I don't
We
even
don't
want
we
the
don't
mini
know.
set. I don't
I
want
don't
the mini
either.
set.
Chaos Legion
That
needs
was
to boogie to wild in a hurry.
yes and no, but mainly I have concerns, but that would just further get us to the point of this is the new normal. This is what Splinterlands card prices, printing rates, like this is normal. Chaos Legion was an anomaly. This is what we're doing going forward. So anybody new coming in the door doesn't get the wrong idea. That's what I fear is like I fear the like Rebellion's not cheap, okay? But, like I don't want somebody new coming in thinking Chaos Legion is the way because it's not the way,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an issue. I'm wondering too, like if we another mini set, it seems like with all the promo cards as well, it's a lot of cards again, right? We're at up to the thing we're again. It's like we have a lot of cards, and yeah, it's a lot of cards, and they'll probably want to throw a bunch of new abilities in there. Um, and yeah, this is something we've talked about, a bunch. I feel like the last couple of weeks. I'm interested in your take about balancing all these new abilities. Like, how do you feel? Like, is it too much? Are you kind of defaulting to certain ones, or we're talking about how's execute going to work and things like that.
Mhm.
You're someone who's loves this type of gameplay aspect, so I'd love to get your take on it.
I mean, it's definitely gotten to be too much, but not because they've done too much, it's because it's been too much at once. Like I think you guys pointed out on your last episode that Rebellion has what, 30 some new abilities? What'd you say? 20?
It was high
I think it's
20s or
20.
something, right?
Yeah, like it is an obnoxious amount of new abilities, and realistically, coming out with new ones in each one, it's like, okay, yeah, like in my mind, when a set comes out, it comes out with a unique set of abilities. They're pretty unique to that set, and when the next set comes out, they're doing something different. And you guys have mentioned that before, and so that's what I want to see here as well, They don't have to lay out the red carpet for every single card they try to sell. The game itself is valuable, so like, if in the next set there's another $1 or 1 mana like fish that is in blue, I'm not gonna feel like robbed. You know what I mean? If it's a
Yeah.
softy stonefish, like I'm not gonna be like, no, what are they doing? Because with rotation, that's the kind of stuff that's expected. But they've developed a model that like every card has value, period. So like with land, With all that, like there is no bulk, even if they print similar cards. So, um, that's my take. Like they don't have to go crazy on every single card, you know.
I was happy to see that this new set of promo cards, there's no new abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Mm-hmm.
that does set the precedent. Maybe we're not getting a new ability per card. We had seen in the past that each set of promos was introducing something new
Mm-hmm.
to the game. Yeah. What's
Yeah.
your we haven't talked about what's her face? The legendary Delia. You got a
Yeah.
take on her, Rogue?
I'm spending all my money on Night Stalker.
Yeah.
I can't afford them both. Sacrifices have to be made, and the
Mm.
legendary is going to be that. Um, no, I
She
think the
did get a
double
significant
strikes.
upgrade though. That
Oh yeah.
reflection shield is massive.
Mm-hmm. No, I think she's very evasive. So like in your range only rule sets and everything, like she's going to be one that when she drops up front, like it's not going to be the end of the world, right? She has some evasiveness and some backfire, and so that feels really good. And then honestly, yeah, she packs a really big punch. And when you get into those kind of rule sets, like you're probably not going to deal with force field in some of those situations. So you can bring out something that's swinging 10, with a little bit of bump here and there, um, and it'll be very detrimental. So, but yeah, other than that though, it's really expensive, and so for me, it's not gonna play as much as the Night Stalker is. So, I gotta get the Night Stalker, and I gotta pass on Delia this time.
Mm. Yeah, I was kind of looking at it the same way. I'm not sure what the do you know what the breakdown is on like what does it have at one BCX and like
Yeah, it's in your collection now, Hep. If you
oh,
if
is
you
it in the
look at
collection? All right. So
if you look at all
if you go to all
cards,
cards.
Rebellion promos, you can see the stats. Night Stalker gets blast at
I
max.
always have my things filtered by playable, and I always forget that there is the all card option to look at. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, bear with me. Okay, yeah. So double strike up front, dodge and reflection shield. With I mean, it's a even at like gold level, which is what I would get it at. It's a good card.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not as good as the axe thrower, but it's reminiscent of that, which is a card I loved and still love and still play a bunch in like my brawls.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like at 9 mana and then at the price, right? So it'll be like 300,000 DEC um
Mm-hmm.
Gold level.
Yeah,
gold level.
three hundred
That's a lot.
bucks.
Yeah, it's a lot. $300 is a lot for one regular
Yep.
foil legendary card. Um,
Yep.
yeah.
We got to be picky.
I know. That's like the other one I got just like one BCX of the other one with the back row cleanse and saying like,
Yep.
if I need it, I just would need the one BCX to have the back row cleanse and maybe that would be helpful. I haven't used it yet, but I
Yeah, I
haven't
haven't
really
either.
thought about using it, but
I
it's there.
haven't either.
If I do one of these days get around to trying it out, it is there. So um yeah, we'll see.
That's a great
Yep.
card in poison matches. Uh,
Oh wow,
the way
yeah.
that the backline cleanse works is
Hmm.
pretty sweet. By round 5, you've got your whole team cleansed. Um, so there is survivability there. But yeah, Delia, I'm convinced that she's going to be very meta with Nidhoggr having the reflection shield and
And the
double strike
blast.
and sitting, yeah, exactly, and sitting underneath the force field threshold. Or, yeah, that's big damage dealer, immune to return fire. She's already fast. If you toss her with the execute, she'll be at what, 9 speed, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's intense. What are you? So are you gonna go? You're gonna get that card? Jangles? You think
I'm
you're
not
going to
sure.
both of them?
Night Stalker is guaranteed. The
Yeah.
4 mana. Yeah, he just looks like so much fun to play with. He's on Squad Death, which, you know, speaks volumes to me.
Yeah.
Delia, yeah, she's really pricey, man. I TBD, we'll see. I got 3 BCX of the past legendary,
Yeah.
which seems to be kind of the what the standard approach was. She is just skyrocketed. We were looking at the numbers of print rate on the past promos, and it's actually the rare card that is one of the most scarce since alpha days. I think it's something
Really?
like it's
So that
under
rear
100
cleanse?
max BCX. Yeah, the
That
rear
rear
cleanse guy.
cleanse didn't.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I see the Eleanor's. There's only 410 circulating of that card. That's it's pretty interesting. But it's still priced below what 500 at peg. I guess it's looking better now, but it's priced below what 500 DEC would be at or five what 50,000 DEC.
Yeah.
So like you could still buy one for $46 right now. But I guess that's a little bit more than DEC, but yeah, it's interesting.
Let's
410 of those.
let's turn the page on this conversation, and you know, the promos. I feel a little bit like we've gotten a little bit of a gut punch this morning, the last couple of hours, and it's kind of made me feel a little bit trigger shy with jumping into these promos. Maybe it's just knee-jerk reaction. But looking at we just got a proposal drop from Team Splinterlands to hire Cryptomancer to continue development on the Secret of Praetoria and the land expansion. In a nutshell, it's $90 an hour up to $14,400 per month, backdated to the 1st of October. And it feels, the proposal reads a little desperate, in my opinion. You know, it's not threatening that any particular individual will be at risk of losing their employment with Splinterlands, but at the same time, it does kind of feel like if we don't act on this and approve the proposal,
Somebody's gonna
that
lose
will
their job.
happen.
Yeah, it's like do
Yeah.
this or the axe is coming. You're like, oh no, who's gonna get the axe?
What is let's start with you, Rogue. What is your first hot take on this proposal?
Well, first hot take is I appreciate uh the clarity on how much a dev costs. Like I honestly had never put like a real number to it, but seeing 1,400 or like $14,400 a month, brr, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. That's not an obnoxious amount of overtime. You know what I mean? So hold on.
Yeah.
What is 160 times 90? That's not that number. 160 times 90. It is that number. Holy crap.
I mean,
So-
160 is a lot of hours in a month.
Not really. It's 40 hours a
It's
week.
40 hours
Yeah.
a week.
It's your
It's 40
standard
hours.
job.
Well, it's 40 hours a week of billable time. So it's, 40 hours a week of, actually working on the project. I don't know anyone who goes into a 9 to 5 job and works nonstop from 9 to 5, doesn't check their phone, doesn't go to the bathroom, doesn't eat lunch, doesn't take a break, doesn't text their friends, doesn't
Play a
read
game of
shit on the internet.
Splinterlands. Yeah.
play Splinterlands in the bathroom.
Dude, that's hilarious. Like, if this passes, we're gonna be like watching his account and be like, ah, he's playing. You
Cryptomancer's
can't
playing
charge
modern
us.
battles.
And yeah, I mean, and maybe he's working, not like 9 to 5, he's working longer hours. Just think, as someone who has to bill their time in 10-minute increments, like getting to 160, it's not working 9 to 5. It's working, 7 to 6 or 7 o'clock at night.
Really? Okay.
So, but like, I mean, like he's like got other responsibilities too, right? Like he's always doing stuff with Hive Engine and stuff like that. So, and I get it. Maybe he is just working a ton of hours, but um, so I'm not trying to say that he doesn't work that much or spend that much actual time, right? And so that's the thing where that's maybe the cap, and it might be less than that. But yeah, it's it's yeah, it's a
It's a
lot
lot
of
of money.
money. Yeah, it's a lot of money to work on land where I feel. Yeah, I think Jimmy had a good comment on it already. Shout out to Jimmy and Jangles. I think you kind of echoed that. I know I didn't read through all the comments, but it's or at least I read through them at the point where there was only 5 comments, and that was like an hour ago. So there's 100 more now. But yeah, I mean, it's like, if we need to get money in, there's better ways for the DAO to spend money to help the team make money than to work on lands. I feel like the people who are already pissed off about the fact that land has been so delayed and that they have thrown their hands up and quit the game. Those people, I think those people have already done so. I don't know how many more people we lose over that.
Mhm.
You know, so yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's
Yeah,
tough.
that was my first. I mean, I'm looking at that and I'm just like in my mind, I'm like, man, that's actually big. I when I think about it, it's like, Splinterlands, small team of, I don't know, 15 some people or whatever, but like how many devs did they say they had? Like I assume, like I assume Crypto's probably one of the higher paid devs of the rest because of seniority and expertise and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, realistically, there's like maybe 10 other people like around here, and I'm like, oh, that's 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 interesting, and there was another aspect of this that I felt was I don't know, kind of like having your cake and eating it too. So like we as a DAO got into trouble because we were like, yeah, we want the Splinterlands team to develop the promos. And then they set the prices and we didn't like that. So now we're like, I feel like the community would make the same mistake again if we were like, yeah, we want to play for Cryptomancer, but you decide what he's doing every day. Mm, that, like I feel like there's almost a world where if we pay for this, then it's only the Secret of Praetoria that we would expect. There is no pulling him off for something else. Or we decide, which is kind of stated here that like if another proposal comes out later, but yeah, if this proposal is approved, he'll still be part of the Splinterlands team and will continue to work for the rest of the team as normal to develop the Secret of Praetoria expansion. Um, yeah, I don't know. So I guess that would be one of those areas where I'd be interested in. And then I think last is again, this is reminiscent of like when the validator nodes got farmed out. I was under the impression this work was already getting done. You know what I mean? And so then to find out, like for that one, it was like, okay, if you guys want nodes, somebody else has to do it. This feels like that is again, it's like, look, if you want land, you got to pay for it. We're like, well, hmm, I thought we were already doing this. And then plus, Cryptomancer's on vacation like 50% of the year. Like he's the one that like and no, I'm not I don't want to throw shade at anybody. This is the complicated part of the DAO hiring people is when you hire someone, you're responsible for like determining whether or not they are earning their pay. You know what I mean? So now all of a sudden, this man who in the last 2 or 3 years takes long sabbaticals, like travels the world, does a bunch of stuff on his free time. Like, how many times did Aggie or Matt say, "Ah, yeah, Manser is going to be gone for like 3 more weeks doing whatever he's doing," and but now we're gonna hire him, and like we don't think our community's gonna like kind of like be on him if he's not doing the thing. You know what I mean? That's all stuff that scares me, you know. Right now, Cryptomancer's Splinterlands' asset, and it's for them to decide whether or not he's worth the money. If he becomes our responsibility to decide whether or not he's worth the money, oh, I don't want that responsibility.
Yeah, that can get ugly real quick.
Hmm.
I don't
And
want to put that on Cryptomancer also.
right, yeah, for all parties involved. Yeah, I don't want
Yeah.
Cryptomancer to have to deal with, yeah, I mean, we know how the community can be and how things like this can
Hmm.
get contentious very quickly. So, yeah.
No, and Cryptomancer himself, like he's always been a saint. Anytime he comes on and you know he talks about everything, he talks about stuff free and he's a great guy. I just you know I don't want to be his boss
Yeah.
And
generally,
to your
but
point, I mean, trying to dictate, is he going to submit vacation requests to the DAO?
mhm.
Uh, you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it puts everybody in a tough spot. At the end of the day, I think the bottom line is land is not going to be immediately impactful to attracting revenue for the business.
mhm.
I think, and Hep, you saw my comments on the post. Land is, I think it's impossible to argue the objective fact that land has been an albatross. Like it completely derailed development for everything else last year. And ultimately, I don't know if it's solely responsible for the second round of layoffs and the shift of power that saw Matt come in as CEO. But I
Mhm.
have to imagine it was a significant contributing factor to that decision. And to be completely honest, I don't know if it was a decision that could have been made any other way. Um, for 9 months we heard land is nigh. We see land is coming, and
Mhm.
then it came out Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving. So it's a massive project. Last time we had Cryptomancer on, he tried to offer an analogy for the size and scope of the land project, and it's bigger than the game that already exists. It's one person
Yeah.
working on this thing. And I understand
Mhm.
the pushback that, land is ultimately really valuable for legacy cards long term.
Mhm.
But it's all going to be for naught if we can't address the bottom line and get new players in. And before we hit record, we were talking about other games that are involved in YGG Yield Guild Games seasons, and a lot of these games are accessible through the App Store and through free to play access. And if
They all have
Splinterlands
battle
wants to,
passes. They all have,
yeah,
all these different
Mhm.
things that like seem pretty, I
standard.
get it that when they made this game, like that wasn't kind of the standard thing for games, or, this was something so unique and different that they were doing. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, there's all these other games now that are coming out. And so yeah, it's more and more often it feels like. Yeah, they have all these things. All these things are more polished experiences for these games that are coming out. So,
And
I
land
think
doesn't do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, and we're not asking for, I feel like, yeah, that's why I feel like we're not asking them to do stuff that's too much or too crazy because it seems like other people have been able to do it. So, um, yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, my if you guys correct me if I'm wrong, my memory is telling me that Cryptomancer was the main developer responsible for guilds,
yeah,
brawls,
Mhm.
that sort of stuff. We've
Mhm.
heard from guys like Royal Eagle who keep their ear to the ground with customer sentiment and addressing new player feedback. That is the sticking point for new players coming in. If they can come in, they can get that sense of community. They can,
Mhm.
have scratch that itch of socializing with your peers in Splinterlands. 9 times out of 10, they're going to stick around.
and just yeah, and
Yeah.
having a more accessible way to learn about all these things, right? I think that was the
Correct.
biggest thing for me in a guild is having people, not just trying to shout questions into, the town hall Discord or whatever,
Yeah.
the general chat Discord in Splinterlands. It's like, oh, you have a group of people who know what they're doing, who can, give you advice and yeah, I mean, there's so many great guilds out there that have lower entry level guilds. So that it's like, yeah, they're these things are there, they're available. Yeah, if they were, yeah, a little bit more polished and better way to direct people to them, um, I think it would go a long way in keeping new players around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm picking up what you're saying, and I 100% agree. I think if we were going to spend money on a dev specifically for Splinterlands, I think that like finishing the tech modernization, getting the battle screen itself into next. So, because I think that's the last piece at this point, is the battle screen, and the battle pass and guilds, the guild upgrade in love. I think those are the things that I would pay Cryptomancer for, and because when I look at the game today, I actually finally see it was like when they switched gears and they said we're going for new player experience. I see that. I see it now. Like the visions come into life. This looks good. It's clean. That nav bar is clean. Like it's getting good.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I want for them to stay focused on that. And I want to get to the point where I'm of the opinion that Chaos Legion is probably going to go to 0. And that just needs to happen. Like at the end of the day, we need to stop trying to keep Chaos Legion afloat like it is salvageable. It's not. Like it will be valuable when land is launched later. But are we going to spend all the time today salvaging sins from 2, 3 years ago and trying to maintain anything there? Or are we going to create a foundation and a floor that can be sold and built off of from there? Repeatable. Like that's the cool part is if there is a next flow of people, their card sales are built to handle it. Like we are in a realm where they can handle an influx of sales and it does not affect like the game, you know. Um, so that's what I want to see happen.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't think any of us are suggesting to send land to the proverbial graveyard and blow it up completely.
No,
I think all of us here and a lot of our listeners are invested in land to some degree.
I'm a warden.
Yeah, that's right. You got the keep and the
I'm a
two,
warden.
uh, but yeah, immediately impactful stuff has to be the name of the game while we're operating as lean and
Never
mean
mind.
as we currently are. Oh, you're
I'm a
not a
marshal.
warden?
I'm a
Oh,
marshal.
I'm a
My bad.
warden. Yeah. There you go.
Nice.
Marshal Rouge. Nice.
Marshal. Chase.
uh
Marshal.
yeah, I wonder if there's a counter proposal here where we come back and because I don't think anybody the preference would be, to your point, Rogue, not being responsible for managing Cryptomancer. We don't want to be his employer. But hiring him as, an on-contract, project-based dev, let's hire you for, forecast out what it's going to take to build out guilds and rehash brawls and, maybe figure out a way to insert tactics into brawls. If that's going to take 4 months, okay, let's sign a contract for a 4-month deal. Look at, get regular progress reports from Cryptomancer moving forward, and extend that contract if need be. Once Guilds is completely repolished, let's move on to the next project. And if we're in a better position by the end of that, maybe that next project is lands. But until we start to really see the numbers and the conversions of new players coming in, buying spell books, buying cards, picking up packs, getting involved in the economy. I don't understand how land can be a realistic priority other than for the reason that we've been promised land for 5 years or whatever.
Yeah.
At,
Well, the
at
fact
this
that they
point, who
promise something to
cares?
people and
Yeah.
people spend a bunch of money on it, and and
Yeah,
then
but
it's sad nowhere for everybody. Well, let
but
me
but at
let
the
me
end of the
throw
day,
something out
it's
there.
gonna be all for naught if we can't
Yeah, no, I
sustain
know,
the
I get
other
it.
side of the game, right?
I 100% agree. I'm just joking. But let me throw something out there, and this is going to be the cynic in me proposing this. Um, what if the team really wants to pull him off a land? The team has said so much that he's focused on land, he's just doing land. What if they want to pull him off a land and do something else? And they think, well, if we do that, it's going to be bad because everybody's going to be upset because we've said he's going to be on land and stuff like that. So, is this kind of like a proposal that'll provide them with cover to do that? All right, either if you want them on land, you got to pay for it, or if not, then we're gonna pull them off and do something else, and we now have cover to say, well, we put it up for a proposal, you guys didn't want it.
Oh, hell, that's a deep cut, man. The psychological warfare there is next level, dude. I hope you're wrong. Uh, I don't know. I was gonna say the
Why?
logistics of
Why
this
you
proposal are. Go
you
ahead.
want it? You said you want Cryptomancer working on something else that's not land. You just said we just
Hmm.
spent 10 minutes talking about how it'd be better for everyone if he was working on something not
Yeah, so
land.
just
So
come out and say, hey, we made the executive decision for the
Mhm.
sake of the game. The lifeblood of the game is not land at this point in time. We need Cryptomancer to focus his developmental efforts elsewhere.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that's I did want to bring up the logistics. This kind of feels like something out of left field. We just had a town hall. Nothing was mentioned about this.
Hmm.
Uh, it just feels like the execution of this proposal is strange. It's disappointing. If there's the psychological component and the cynic in you is correct, why not just come out and say, hey, Cryptomancer's, he's going to make a much more meaningful impact elsewhere. We need him to focus on this. Land is going to
Well,
take a temporary pause while we polish up the rest.
I feel like if the cynic in you is correct, that last paragraph wouldn't make sense. So it says, however, the proposal does not pass. We do not plan to let go of Cryptomancer. We plan to keep him on the team. However, we would be put in a very difficult position of needing to make cuts in other areas, as a point where we have already reduced the team down to what we would consider a bare minimum necessary to continue the reasonable rate. So like they're talking cuts, like they're not talking priorities. They're
Yeah.
talking literal overhead. Um, and so that's in my mind where this is all about. This is just more overhead. And which I don't mind. I don't mind. Like this is fine. Like if we can pay for a dev, that's cool. Paying for the paying for the SPS nodes turned out to be a good thing. I think that was something that worked, or is at least moving in further direction than it ever has. So,
It's also
um,
something that the DAO should pay for,
a
right?
dev
This
or the
no,
SPS node.
the validators. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. So yeah, I mean, I'm almost, I'm with you guys. If this could get rewrote in a way of like, look, we'll pay for the dev if like it focuses on the vision of the current company to the player experience. Like all the focus is on the player experience, and that's where we need to stay. Um, and yeah, if we can pay for him and they don't have to make cuts and they can essentially just beef up that operation. Now, if they come back and tell us like, look, there's like an extra dev wouldn't help there, which they've told us that before. It's like, there's too many hands in the kitchen. Like, no, it's not really getting done. Um, then I don't know how I'd feel about that. You
Well,
know what I mean?
I think there's a total of 5 devs,
Mm-hmm.
and then Cryptomancer coming in. The guilds is not getting any love. And what I mentioned earlier, this is straight from the horse's mouth. That is Royal Eagle. Guilds is the sticking point.
Yeah.
When we
Yeah.
get somebody into a guild in that first week of them entering Splinterlands, the rate at which they convert is just massive compared to not touching a guild. Why would that not be a priority?
No, I
And
agree.
Cryptomancer having the backbone knowledge of what guilds looks like, and we heard, gosh, I guess it
Mhm.
was 18 months ago. I think it was Cryptomancer.
Yeah.
It might have been Aggie saying, guilds are due for a rework. This is how we're seeing it. Alliances and new buildings and all this cool new stuff. Brawls need an upgrade. I mean, none of that stuff is getting touched at the moment. Um, yeah, I just don't buy the argument that one more head in the kitchen is gonna derail the whole machine. Um,
Yeah, I don't either.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we just don't know where we are in this our crusade to create the new player experience. I know they say, well, every upgrade we do and things like that, and
Hmm.
you said, like you said, bro, you see it. You see that the
I can
game looks
physically
cleaner, looks
see it.
better. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's great, but it's like, well, we just don't know. Okay, well, so what's left? What is, what are we doing? What is like the sort of the onboarding walkthrough? I think that is kind of the big piece of the puzzle that everybody's looking to see how they're going to update, and we just don't know what's going on with that. We hear, oh well, creative's going to get that to us soon, and then we'll be able to put it in. And but yeah, I feel like if yeah, like you said, I'd love to hear them say like, hey, yeah, we've based on the research we've done, it shows that interactions with guild increases player retention, and so that how this is gonna this is what we're going to do to drive people towards that. And, I don't know. It just seems like for a project that we started at the beginning of the year, that was going to be the biggest focus on for the year and it being October. I still feel like even what they want to do is still pretty vague.
What about okay? So how do we let's do a little on air brainstorming. How do we get the team money revenue with what's currently coming up? My mind immediately jumps to the auction. Matt has I don't know if it's been
I
confirmed, but
thought that was
Matt
supposed to be a
mentioned on the
burn.
was this supposed to be a burn? I thought it was supposed to be rerouted to the Dow. That's what Matt kind of alluded
Oh,
to in the
maybe it was.
last town hall. I don't think it was initially proposed that way, but I think there has been a bit of a change
Oh,
in heart. Maybe it's because the first round of promos kind of hit bare minimum to tick the box of success. Uh, but realistically, 100 cards in 100 days. Do we have 100 whales to eat that stuff up? Maybe not, but we have a few whales that will probably. My guess is be bidding on more than just one card and try and kind of corner the market. Uh, they're max cards, so I would guess the bidding has to start at I don't know 600,000 DEC or something like that. That times 100, uh, rerouting that back to the team versus keeping that in the
Mhm.
DAO. Maybe that is enough to buy us some breathing room while we kind of hash out what the details look like on potentially hiring somebody like Cryptomancer on a per project basis.
I don't know. For me, Matt's always been about runway, right? And so I don't think the move that we're making right now is because we're in trouble like 2 months from now. I think he's looking further down the line than that. And and I'm still very much of the opinion that like if we're putting DEC back into the team, like that's not I don't know if that's no no, because that's what we sell our normal sets in. Hmm. I don't know, honestly. I don't know. They just got, I mean, they're getting money from the DAO, or not the DAO. They're getting money from, yeah, the DAO, the Hive DAO. Um,
On a positive note, that did just get. I think we've got the most headway on that we've ever had. The SPS.DAO Hive account just got its million HP powered up. Um, so unless the DHF return proposal has a massive, massive spike in support, I think we've got a significant chunk of breathing room. We're sitting at 37.7 million, return proposals at 34.4. So for all intents and purposes, those daily, hourly funds are essentially secured for the foreseeable future. Um, but yeah, go ahead, Rogue. Didn't mean to interject too much.
no, no, you're fine. I I thought the auction was going to be a burn event. Um, yeah, but I guess burn or going back to the DAO, they're kind of the same right now. Um, mm, I don't know. I say just get to the next core set. Um, get us enough runway to get to the next core set and go from there. Have use your HBD funds to try to get you something to kind of launch with the next core set and try to get another flux of players in at that time when it's new and stable. You know, when there is no Chaos Legion, there's no um it's all just fresh, you know. And I think that they launched Rebellion
A year ago,
when January, huh?
a year. I think we got the announcement last October, and then pre-sale was November, and then packs hit shelves early December. I think
But we're on our ninth conflict, right?
it's the last one. Conflict started in January.
Yeah. So yeah, this the leaderboard for Mantaroth. No, never mind. Yeah. So yeah, it was sometime in the early part of the year. So I would say, you know, the next set being, you know, in 2 months. Like that's what I think the company should do is let's get it rotated, let's get the new set and go from there.
Well,
You
maybe
know.
that's part of the counter proposal. Is we Hep, you and I talked about it a couple episodes ago when the mini set stuff was really kind of ramping up and consuming a lot of the community conversation. Was why don't we get a proposal to the DAO now to hire the team and pay the team for the development of the next core set? We pay, if and this goes back to your earlier point, Rogue, we need the clarity of schedule. What does
Hmm.
2025 look like? Even if it's as vague as late spring 2025, we're getting the next core set. Early fall 2025, we've got, the first round of promos for the next core set. December 2026, core set number 2. And then we can start to plan, we can start to budget, we can start to map out what kind of revenue numbers do we need to hit. We need some clarity of schedule to kind of make these decisions as informed as possible. And maybe, yeah, maybe that is the counter proposal that we offer for this current DAO proposal is, let's hire Cryptomancer on a per project basis. On top of that, let's hire the Splinterlands company right now with DAO funds to fund the development of the next core set. And where does that place our runway?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting. We're being asked as a DAO to make these financial decisions, but we're really not given much information to base them off of.
Well,
Is that an issue?
isn't that where the new board is supposed to kind of come into play there? Because it's true. You know, the Splinterlands DAO doesn't have the insides of like what a normal board would have, you know, of like this is the strength of the company, this is where we're at, this is where we have to move. We're flying blind. Matt says, "Hey, we need this," and we say, "Okay, buddy, we got you." But where did that end up going? The board? Are they
You mean
still taking
the
resumes for
DAO?
that, or yeah, didn't they propose something? I thought I saw something on Twitter. It was like the Splinterlands board, or
There's the SPS Foundation. But
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
yeah,
the
that
SPS.
has nothing to do with that's essentially just signatures.
No, I
And
know, and you're on that, right?
I did put my name in the running. Yeah.
No, there was something else recently. I thought it
It
was
was for like the board of directors of the
yeah,
DAO. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm not crazy. Thank you, Hep. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I saw that came across that was something from I think that Clay put out, and so I'm not sure exactly whether that was in the
Yeah, right here.
DAO hall or
Open call for SPS Foundation board members. 9/18 of 2024. The SPS DAO would begin taking applications for individuals that are interested in becoming the founding chair and board members of the to be formed foundation that the DAO has elected to create. You can find out more details in the post below. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that grants, as far as my understanding goes, that doesn't grant or make us privy to any of the company financials that we're talking about here. I think
it wouldn't, but I
that's
mean we can make that, if we say like, hey, a prerequisite to us funding things is, somebody's got to know that this is a smart investment, right? Someone's got to have, more information than nothing. And I think that's the thing is like if you don't want to make it publicly available information, you could designate people that would kind of have access to that, and could kind of help steer the DAO in how the proposals should be worded.
I don't know. I kind of feel like if it's information that the foundation is made aware of as far as company financials and runway and what is the projected life of this project, I feel like it should be public. If the DAO is
Mm.
asked to vote on this stuff, everybody should be as well informed as everybody else.
Yeah.
And Matt has been, for the most part, at least historically, pretty transparent around, how many months of runway do we have? It's been a while since we've gotten that sort of update, which is
hmm
also why this proposal feels bad, in my opinion. Uh, is there's just a complete lack of clarity, I think. Yeah, just coming on the heels of a town hall. We only have town halls once a month. This is the sort of stuff that needs to be addressed on a public town hall. Get everybody informed and up to speed. Tell us what's going on. Tell us what you're thinking. Where might there be significant shakeups and a massive request from the company for the DAO to help us out. I don't think anybody has an issue with the DAO helping the company. It's the
Yeah.
way that this message was delivered, and unfortunately, what is in the message this time that I think is a massive miss.
hmm
Mm.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it is tough. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because then also will the proposal be up and the voting be closed by the time we have the next town hall, right? So we won't even kind of get the town hall discussion. I know Matt says he's going to be more available to answer questions in Discord and things like that. I haven't checked to see if that um is that, maybe he's on there now talking about it. I don't know. But yeah, it'd be nice to have a little more kind of background than what's in the just what's in the post.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that kind of took me off guard too is this like yeah, this post is gonna be out now. It's gotta go through pre-proposal and then proposal, right? Like it's gotta pass here and then go because it's not even on the actual it's not in the proposals yet in on the actual website. Expedited proposal guidelines is the only draft proposal that's out there. This isn't even showing up on the website right now or
Yeah.
on Splinterlands. So there's like the fact that we've got to wait 14 days, and then if it goes into effect, it's backdated to yesterday. That's weird in my mind. This thing came out 4 hours ago, and it's asking for money for yesterday. That's weird. Like that's like in my like if they were like, yeah, starting November, like and gave us all month to kind of hash it out, but they're like, nah, if you guys want this, like you'll get a bill as soon as it's accepted.
Backdated, yeah.
I mean,
Woof.
anybody who submitted a proposal for serious consideration to the DAO has done some reaching across the aisle, has done some politicking, has tried to massage the proposal into something that's going to be passable with a reasonable degree of confidence. There was none of that with this, and like you said, man, it's backdated to it's the third here. It's backdated to a couple of days ago. Yeah, it feels desperate. It feels urgent. Yeah, I didn't like any of the way that this thing was handled. Rough, rough proposal to start the day with, for sure. And it certainly shakes my confidence. Back to why I wanted to segue into this. It shakes my confidence into buying into these proposals or into the promo cards.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I yesterday I was happy to part ways with the necessary expenditure to buy a max Night Stalker. Today, I'm questioning if we lose. I would have to guess that there's probably 2 or 3 individuals on the team that make up the same sort of annual salary that Cryptomancer does together. Those are going to be the folks that are on the chopping block. Yeah, and can we afford to lose 2 or 3 more individuals? We've got a lean and mean team of 20, 25 people. We're talking about shedding another 10% of that. Yeah, it just feels bad. I think we have to accept the rub that land is it's the bloody albatross, man. It's gonna bury us. We need to make the wise decision for what's gonna make the most immediate impact now.
Yeah, maybe you should have made the albatross the card image
Yeah,
for
right.
the
Yeah,
for
we
the
might need to
episode.
change that. We might need to change that. Well, I think we've found the title for the episode, at the very least.
The bloody albatross. Maybe that's a promo card we should propose. That I'll
Yeah,
have a land boost specialty on it or something.
the bloody albatross. Well, let's see how this thing shakes out. I know, as we were getting ready to hit record, I think I saw Aftersound kind of hosting an impromptu stream to try and discuss some of this stuff, and we'll see what comes out of it. But yeah, it's unfortunate that we're in this position, and I think all we've been asking for as long as I can remember in 2024 has been transparency, whether it's around new player experience or scheduled product down the line. And we've had a couple of there's been a few instances throughout the last 4 or 5 months, kind of starting with the wild pass for vouchers, and then quickly on the heels of that there was voucher removal. So it's a little bit of a gotcha, like, let's propose the wild pass for vouchers, and then shortly thereafter let's just get rid of vouchers, and therefore remove the ability to buy the wild pass with said voucher, and then kind of casually slipping into a town hall conversation about something else entirely, saying, oh, actually we got a mini set a brewing. So there's just been like the bedside manner of the big dogs. I feel like has left a good chunk to be desired from me personally.
Mhm.
Maybe I have some some bigger expectations of how this company should be run. But and this is not me sticking it to the man and saying, you know, raising the pitchfork for that Matt, but at the same time, it does feel like there's been some significant misses in terms of communication and transparency, and we can do better.
Just want to put this out there for anybody that's considering purchasing the new reward legendary at max. You can currently get an Archmage Arius for $472.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you can go get an Archmage Arius for like 50,000 more DEC than the new promo at max.
Man, I used to rent that
Archmage
Archmage
Arius.
Arius a lot. That's a fun card.
Right? That thing is, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Have you been dabbling in the wild card market?
Well, here's so I'm trying to look at like what I don't know, what is my Splinterlands career gonna look like, right? Like, if I don't have, if I don't have a benefactor, you know, am I going to transition back to like gold or silver, you know? Um, maybe. There might be a world where when chaos rotates and max level decks for $600 don't exist, and it's like the leagues are actually separated by cost. Like the leagues don't have to exist, but if it's not $600 all the way to the top, if $600 only gets you silver, then there's a chance that we're actually going to start to see the leagues kind of naturally spread themselves out, you know what I mean? Just by cost. So there's a chance I might be like a lower level player at that point. But for those same, like I'm looking at Dr. Blight. Dr. Blight's $100. That's pretty cool. Waka.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, Waka's down to 200. Just looking around, like, and then honestly, we'll just go to Untamed real quick. Look at that. These Untamed prices, I don't know. Like Dragon Jumper, I can get a max Dragon Jumper for $43. Phantom of the Abyss for $55, So like
Yeah.
there's almost a world because there's no land, because that like the automation side of the game is kind of interesting. Like so the hands-off managers type approach is kind of what I'm looking at here. It's like, you know what? Maybe this is like just the quiet investor. Like this is like I can do yeah, maybe I can go that route and just kind of start picking up. I mean, that was always my plan is to start going after some of these older cards too, but like, if the bot play is doing good, bot's doing all right, and because I might have to come off the idea that I'm a champion level player forever, mainly because of the model the company's presented here. Like, I can't afford this every month, $800 worth of cards, two cards, $800. I can't afford that, period.
Yeah.
And so without Chaos Legion holding up my deck and without my benefactor giving me all of Rebellion, like I don't think that like I could support, like playing at that level financially. So, you know,
I was having a similar, thinking about this in a similar way, and uh the last couple days even. And yeah, I was like, what do I do? Do I move down to silver? Do I say I'm going to spend, sort of, have my budget and just say I'm going to get cards that I think are cool and
mhm.
really want and just spend the money on just a couple cards and then just play in wild because I have been buying like some untamed cards and stuff, and I have been keeping up with playing wild, and I do that in brawls, and it's fun, and it's there's a lot of cards I like, and there's a lot of like cool combinations you can do with some of the old stuff and the new stuff. And yeah, is that what I do? Maybe is I'm just gonna play in wild, and I'm just gonna kind of hang out and have fun with it and not take it super seriously because there is no seriousness in modern ranked really for me, because there are no leagues anymore, right? And I'm not gonna spend the money to max out, a Chaos Legion deck.
Yeah.
Pretty much as a matter of principle at this point, but also like, yeah, it's just because but also because it's not sustainable. Like I know it's not sustainable, right? And
Mhm.
so yeah, what do I do? And maybe it is a more attractive option, just like, hey, I'm just gonna get a couple of the cool meta cards that come out for
Yeah.
each set, and work with them into and just playing wild. And that might be a fun thing that I might have more fun doing that than trying to keep up with a full set in modern.
Yeah. But I also think that there's and this is where I feel like players like you are really going to benefit when Chaos Legion rotates because we can get an idea of what that looks like. When everyone can't afford max, what does the meta look like? What does gold through bronze look like when having a max level any card is $100? You know what I mean? Versus 5 or 4, that we're getting right now. So like there's a world where like you could still be competitive and have fun. Like that's the part that I miss. And I have to remember is when I started playing this game, the game was expensive. And it was still fun for me. This is one of the other messages that I would pass on to the team is to re-look at leagues and see if bronze is fun today. Because I got a feeling it's probably way more fun than it ever was, partially because what we're bitching about, the 20 plus abilities, like those exist in bronze. Like
Yeah,
most level 1 cards have some pretty cool abilities right now.
yeah, that's a
So
good point.
there's a chance bronze is actually a lot of fun right now. Because of everything they handled with the bots, like I don't know if like swarming or like I don't know what would happen if we just implemented leagues again, because especially if you bring the new player in, they got to go to bronze. They got to go to bronze. And any new player today fighting against a max level deck, I've always disagreed with that. I've always disagreed with somebody having to come in and play against a leveled up card that they they won't be able to understand or get to. But I think bronze is probably a lot more fun today than it ever was, you know? And then that was always the next carrot. That was my progression through Splinterlands, is I started with bronze. I started with maxing out a novice. I started out maxing my collection so that I could participate in a novice Cobalt Miner tournament, which was essentially owning a single BCX of every Untamed and Chaos Legion card, not a legendary. So like it was a cost-effective tournament with SPS prizes that I wanted to get involved in. That was my carrot. Then the next carrot was maxing out bronze. Then the next carrot was going to silver and maxing out for silver. And without leagues, I don't know what the carrot is, you know. So I wish the team would and that's also why we need to go to the next set. We need to know what ranked play looks like when everyone can't afford a max level card. Because honestly, the arguments of pricing on the promo might go out the window once everybody stops thinking they're a max level player and realizing that like
Yeah,
they, that was just some weird event that happened. Like you don't make 20 grand a month, so like you can't afford this game at champion. Right? Like,
yeah, right.
we just need to get there again.
What
I
do you
think
think?
Jangles is gone.
No, I'm just listening. I'm absorbing.
I was
So
like,
so as
I think the typhoon got him.
um so last TPG challenge on Hive, we ran the idea of pitching what does the next core set sale look like? We only had a
Hmm.
couple of entries. I think it was a pretty big task to ask
Hmm.
of contributors. Jimmy and I think Javis were the only contributors on that one. Um, and for anybody curious, hop on a Peak D and search for hashtag TPG Challenge. You can kind of see their entries and read through their thoughts. But yeah, it was interesting to see kind of where they aligned and what kind of ideas are being thrown out there in terms of accessibility for future sets. Um, one of the reason I bring that up is one of the challenges I want to do next is a reimagining of leagues. Because, like you, Rogue, and I remember when we first had you on, it was Waskell and I probably 3 or 4 months into doing this podcast thing. And
Mhm.
at that point in time, I think I was still a gold player. I think you were moving into gold. Waskell was right there with me as a gold
I
player.
was pretty sure I was the best silver player ever, and UA had nothing on me, if I remember right.
A
Well,
little
he's not
quick
around to
fact
say
check.
otherwise,
Yeah,
so.
he's not here to fact check me.
Nice. Uh, but that was such a fun aspect of the game is being able to, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, and I think it's one of the things that is sorely missed with this new iteration of leagues. So one of the challenges I want to put out there is what does a reimagining of leagues look like? And Rogue, you've got a lot of experience with a ton of other, not just TCG, CCG games, but also Web3 games. What does a league look like? A sustainable league? I think we've all heard the kind of easy, low hanging fruit call of let's remove leaderboards, let's make leagues choosable by the player's agency. So if I want to play gold in perpetuity, I just pick gold at the start of every season. I don't have the choice to stick in gold if my rank and my rating advances enough to move into diamond. But every season I can start at gold, um, and compete with people at gold level. So those are kind of the big pieces that I've heard that would make leagues a little bit more sustainable moving forward, and we could get around all of the issues that we had with leagues previously. But what is a future potential league system look like in your mind, Rob?
Um, I mean, for me, it's something along the lines of what we had. Um, is we have to have a landing spot for new players, and I think novice like was a pretty good spot for that. Um, and so I I don't want to reinvent the wheel so much there because I know people have brought up the proposals of like having everybody have ghost cards, but then like you don't like you don't earn as much if you don't have as much, like that was the approach. So it's like everybody has the same stuff, like the parallel model. But what I liked most about Splinterlands was each league was different because of the available rule sets, or I mean, because of the available abilities and because of the power level of some of the cards. Like each league was uniquely different in my mind. Um, and so there was a home for many people in the system that we had. So like, sadly, I wouldn't change it. Honestly, I would not change it. I would go back. Um, Personally, I don't mind leaderboards. Like I think what you're seeing now, like look at Rebellion, and I think you see Rebellion being half stifled because there's no middle ground. You know what I mean? Like there is no bronze Rebellion. You know what I mean? While Max Chaos exists, there's no bronze Rebellion. So this concept of like unlimited leveling is supposed to like be increasing your card sales. I think that's ridiculous. Um, I think not having confidence that you can play in a sandbox that you control or is at least capped by a salary. You know what I mean? Like, I do not wish to play in the NFL when I hit the battle button. I would rather play high school football today. Like that's what I would have more fun doing, you know? And so that's what the league system was set up for. It was salary caps. And so that would be my first thing. I wouldn't even reinvent the wheel. I'd just go back after rotation, go back, see what it looks like, see what happens.
So you would allow for in your hypothetical future league, you would allow for kind of permanent existence in gold, for example. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have to advance if my rating advanced high enough.
No. No, I'm back to leaderboards in my mind. Go right ahead. Leaderboards were fun,
Well, one of
especially
the
in
big
gold.
pushbacks was the gatekeeping, running into
That's
you
all
and a
bullshit.
UA to try and exit into gold. What's is that a
Well,
problem, or were we
no,
imagining that's a
like
problem?
We
you
were.
Or
can't you
is
can't
it
play UA 20 times in an hour. You know what I mean? Like that was people like needing to get to their league for their I mean, which that goes back to one of the points you had said was like, having being able to start in the league that you want makes the most sense. Like, but I don't know. I also don't generally have sympathy for anybody that can't play out of their league. I don't know.
You could always play out of it. I mean, even one time where I like couldn't play and I got stuck down in silver or something like that. It was difficult, but you could get out of it, and then it was easy to kind of stay above it. And I feel like that. I'm probably on record saying this ad nauseum, but like it's. I feel like that was like some bullshit revisionist excuse for some people came up with it after they did it, or it was a problem that like a couple people had, and maybe those people had bigger voices in the game than all the other people who wanted to keep the league caps. But
Yeah.
I feel like maybe it's a problem a couple people have, and they complained about it, and they wanted to get rid of it because they thought it would drive more card sales, and then that was kind of like an excuse they latched onto. I don't think it was a widespread problem, and there's certain people who constantly parrot that as this big issue that so many people had and so many people left the game. And it's bullshit. I think it's bullshit. I know because I never saw peak D articles of people saying like I'm having this problem, blah 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 blah. I saw tons of peak D articles of people being like, I'm fucking leaving Splinterlands because they're taking away leagues. And it's I liked playing it for all these reasons, which we've
Mhm.
talked about a bunch and which Rogue just like went over. Like there's just no evidence there that it was this widespread problem that people make it out to be, and I just don't buy it. It pisses me off.
I think one of the other solutions that'll help here is that I think in my opinion, once you cross a certain threshold, let's say in gold, you cross over what 4,200 rating or like no, let's make it better than that. 3,000. You cross over 3,000 rating when you're in gold. Let's just say like that's a threshold that you can't league up after that. Because essentially now what they've created is that the leaderboards back in the past were under the old ranking system where like the top of the leaderboards, you'd win, +3, +3, +3, -20, right? So like there were people that were generally like there wasn't a guarantee that everybody would end up in gold one at the end, right? Because that leaderboard was constricted to that point. I would say now that we're like +20, -20, and like that's kind of the way that it's going. I would imagine that anybody that is wanting to play in gold can probably carry their season into gold one, just by having not having but having rating inflation because rating inflation exists. I don't imagine that that would be a problem. So then everybody resetting only two back instead of one back, I don't think there's going to be a lot of cross league contamination. And if we cap, like if you cross a threshold and say like you're committing to leaderboard for that season, you can't rank up to diamond or something like that, or like you're in diamond. Well, hold on. The other change that I would make is there's no diamond in champion, period. That's the same league. I don't know why there was a diamond. I do not know why there was a champion. That's the same league in my mind. So those would go away. Just one league. But once you cross like, I don't know, 1,000 or two rating, above where you're supposed to, like you are locked into leaderboard. So that way it would prevent somebody from like, I don't know, being in bronze, getting all the way up to like 45,000 rating and just being like auto progress up to champion real quick.
Well,
And then
yeah,
I
you
don't
could
know
probably
what.
have it where you can say, well, if you're gonna, whenever you choose to move up, right, it's gonna set your rating to the lowest level or
Ah,
whatever of that league, right? Like that
yeah,
would
that's
be a way
smart.
around to so you could still say, all right,
That's
I'm gonna
smart.
go try to move up and play in silver or gold or whatever. But yeah, it kind of set you back. I think seems like it would be an easy solution.
Yeah.
You know, I think too. I think there's is kind of a recognition. Or at least I saw this. My reaction to the new. Now that we're getting these, I haven't gotten any or opened any yet. We're getting these chests for going from gold 3 to gold 2 to gold 1. I think there's a recognition of the team that like it's just not fun to just like, it's fun to have little prizes for having
Hmm.
accomplishments, right? And they
Yeah.
figured out a way to have these prizes. Like, why can't the leaderboard be a bunch of these chests? Why can't the leaderboard just be more glint? Like, we don't have to go back to it being
Essence.
DC. What's that?
Essence.
Essence, yeah.
Maybe some of those
Yeah,
skin
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So like I think they're kind of seeing that it's those things were fun to have, those
Hmm.
chests you could earn throughout the season as opposed to just getting a bunch of glint at the end. So I mean, hopefully there'll be a recognition too that yeah, we can do something like that with the leaderboard.
Yeah. Because yeah, realistically, when I look at the game today, like if I have to keep playing in champion after rotation, I mean it's at least 20, over 10 grand of cards, and that's not including the SPS, which I think needs to be at least 250, 300,000 or something to get like your 10x, right? So I'm at 8 now, and that's 600, so 6, 12, 8, and there's like another 3 grand worth of stuff. Like that's a price. That's a price. And I personally, if I came into this game and didn't see the carrot that was right in front of me, and all I saw was that as like my pinnacle, I'd be like, nope, I
Yeah.
gotta go do something else.
Yeah.
It's too expensive.
Yeah, I completely agree. I would have been the same way. Yeah.
Well, when I publish this challenge, I hope both of you guys will put on your author hats and hit the keys, put together a nice little post talking
There we
You
about
know
go.
this
what
stuff.
sucks? After Azercon was on and I got all hyped up. I'm like, yeah, I want to start posting again. I want to start doing all this stuff. Honestly, sadly I'm not in that season right now still. I'm back in the season where I can like kind of play a little bit, but then like anything above that, putting in the hours to like try to make content. Like I really want to. There are things that I want to tell people about. I cannot get myself that much time to sit down and do any of this stuff yet. And that's still the missing piece. I think maybe when my kids are all 5 and above, maybe we'll get there. Maybe I'll have like a little Rogan crew, like a little cast. But
Yeah,
yeah, sadly, because
at that point you could have your oldest like banging out content for you, man.
hmm yeah,
And the future is supposed to be AI and robotics. You just have some kids. That's the
Yeah.
alternative.
exactly. Do it the old way.
The
Make
old
your own
fashioned way.
AI.
Yeah.
Program it yourself the hard way.
All right. Well, hopefully we got a lot of sharp folks in the community, and it
Hmm.
seems like the challenge stuff has picked up a little bit of steam. The Javis won last week's vote and has earned himself a cool 40 hive as a result.
Let's go.
Um,
Good for him.
at 20 cents it's nothing major, but it's not insignificant and insubstantial either. So hopefully it continues to grow and more folks. I like the idea of posting these kind of bigger questions in as part of the challenge. We'll
Hmm.
continue to do some fun stuff too, but I think a lot of this conversation gets lost in Discord, where if it's put on the blockchain, it's much easier to point back to. It's much easier to find and read and keep the conversation immediately accessible for the future.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Rogue, we'll take you where we could get you, bro. I'm just glad that you're back.
Yeah, man.
I don't even think that I knew you were back until I ran into you in ranked
Here we go.
not too long ago. So it was a nice surprise seeing you come back in. I think I did try and recruit you for Team Sniffleheim. I was politely declined.
Yeah.
But
No, got some good guys over there. I'm glad that everything's still going well. In the YGG SPL crew and Sniffleheim. No, I'm glad
You're
you
still
guys
with
are.
the rocking with the fighting the Illini?
No, we're well, we merged Illini Legacy and Dragons, and so essentially part of the split with YGG SPL, a lot of us just kind of followed Knight, and so we kind of have our own little alliance. Like, is essentially the other half of YGG SPL is still all together, kind of within our own guilds.
Iron
So,
Faith,
nope,
right?
I am in
Oh,
Iron
that's right.
Faith right now. Yep.
Yeah, I
And
think we
not
we ran
bad.
into you guys
We just
in the last brawl, I think.
Yeah, we just had Brybro just did that first guild tournament, and that was fun. It was a nice little change of pace. Did a ghost card tournament and recruited some guilds to participate, and had a great round one and just punted round two. It was so sad. I went so we made it to the finals. We were in the final 10. I went 8-1 in like round one. I'm like, let's go. And then I went 3-6 in round two. And it's like the same people. It was the same 9 people like that I was playing against in round one and round two. And so ended up in this weird like three-way tie for second. So like the winner had 12 wins, and then three of us had 11 wins, and it was Brybro, myself, and Tofu. Actually, it was the three of us all like Tofu said he's like, yeah, the three of us are all just gonna cram onto the second place podium. And I'm like, yeah. So, but that was fun. You know, it was good to do something like that and try to do guild stuff outside of guild stuff, you know. So,
Agreed.
but
Yeah, Brybro, he's done a couple of cool initiatives. He's got I think it's card.dao is the account.
mm,
He's taking donations of cards, spare BCX and or DEC, helping out. I always see him in tavern, kind of willing to delegate cards, and obviously the DEC I think he's used as sponsorship for tournaments like this. He continues to do some very cool stuff, and this was awesome. I did participate. I had to bow out of the final round. Niflheim did make it. I did not perform as well as my guildie, so I had to give him the nod to represent in the final.
I feel like
But
I cross his paths oftentimes in the guild in the brawls. I see him pretty frequently.
yeah, Olaf, one of them.
Olaf. And this is where I need somebody to develop the app. I need to know what my career record against certain players are. Because like I just want to be able to pull that up on a whim. Like I want to just be like, yeah, career wise, how we been doing? You know.
Yeah, you're speaking of your performance in the final, Rogue. It made airwaves in the brawlers chat.
Ah,
Um,
really?
I know you got some. You're aware that you've got some fans in the brawlers crew, and anytime we would run up against you in when we were still competing in tier 4, there was always a bounty put on Rogue's head.
Ah,
Gold foil, hardy stonefish. If you bring me
yep,
Rogue's head, uh, that sort
yep.
of stuff is so much fun, man. I would love to have like side antes built
Hmm.
into the system, and bounties placed on certain folks, and yeah, we can kind of double our crowns if we capture the win off of XYZ players. Stuff like that would be so much fun. um but yeah, man, it's for as much uncertainty as there is, I feel like from a content creative perspective, I can't remember a time where more people were coming up with cooler shit for the community to partake in. And
Hmm.
that guild tournament was just, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yep. The reward cards, the unbinding. What did you guys do with those? Did you guys participate?
The Chaos Legion.
Yeah, I
No,
don't feel like you
I
guys talked
traded
about that a lot.
a couple gold foils to Jimmy.
Hmm.
Um, I was
So where
maybe one.
he just gave you the DC and you unlocked it?
Well, he Idri Fire. I had extra BCX and he had extra BCX of Will-O-Wisp. We
Mm.
just unlocked and swapped. There were a couple others that I pulled a similar wheeling and dealing with, but for the most part, I did go back through actually maybe last season and kind of burn all of the extras. So my Chaos Legion soulbound stuff at this point is just what I need
Just
to
what you
stay
got?
competitive. Yeah.
Yep.
But the rebellion's unbinding. I have been partaking in.
No
Uh,
way.
yeah.
What are you unbinding?
I unbound and sold and made a decent profit on Commander Slade. That card is.
Oh wow.
I think I've talked about it a fair
Hmm.
bit. That is my absolute favorite card of the set. It's
I
so much
think
fun.
you, yeah, you showed me like a Jehovah's Witness. You showed up in my match and you were like, "Let me show you the good news of Commander Slade." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know you did that." You were like, "Yeah." Yeah, I honestly, that was literally the first time I'd ever seen that card played was when you played him against me, and I was like, that seems slightly ridiculous. Like my head was still spinning a little bit. I'm like, I don't know what happened, but like, yeah, fundamentally with Cryptic, the blind and evasion, but he's already fast. It was just like that is a ridiculously hard guy to hit.
Plus the backfire. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
No, he's
he's great with he's great with what's his name? EMP
mm,
having the armored
hmm.
strike and the piercing, or you can kind of, call the audible and give him a cleanse repair. He's great with Dispa with the phase because he is fast. He's got dodge, he's got backfire. And then the more traditional approach of, Passivulus, Kalia, Cryptic is, yeah, he's
Hmm.
super versatile. If you're not expecting magic, I think he's an absolute must have. He's a beast.
Yeah, so what's he cost to unlock right now? It's like 200 DEC.
It's cheap, man. It's
It's 200 DEC, but it's selling on the market for 478 right now, or at least that's the low price.
Hmm.
So, no,
I
that's
unlocked
interesting.
my gold foil Olivia and still not sold yet. So
Oh, did you
Yeah,
unlock
see,
it?
I'm scared.
yeah,
Oh
I
shit,
did.
hell.
Dude,
How much do you have
I
it
put it
listed
out
for?
there.
I think I lowered it. I think I had it like 65 and I think I just lowered it to like 55. So yeah, I think there's a couple on the market for like 49 right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I put it out there on Twitter a while ago. I said, look, if anybody wants any of my gold foils, you can have it 10% above. You let me know
Yeah.
and I will mint it for you and you can have it and just give me a 10% finder's fee and that's it. Because like I'm totally for burning and everything right now. I just am not wanting to try to take the risk of like listing a card or trying to make money in that way, because I don't think I could tell the sentiment of anything right now. Um, but I know that there are people out there that just want gold foils and so but then I'm also like, so, you're saying you're selling Commander Slades, and I'm like, I still need all mine. So, like, even though there's money there yet, I can't give up any of mine. I'm still leveling mine up. But, no, I
Yeah,
did ended up, I made a move on the chaos ones. I decided like I was looking at everything, and that was honestly a really hard. I'd been staring at those cards forever, and I kind of made the mistake of being like, I'm setting on a treasure trove as soon as they become unlocked. And that dream didn't come true mainly because of like one, they were in print forever. So like by the time they were able to sell, like nobody wanted them. There's no like everybody had plenty of time to get their own. So like, yay, Chaos Legion, you did it again. But then so I'm staring at all my stuff and I'm like, man, I'm like, I can't believe I'm about to burn gold foil legendaries. I cannot believe I'm about to burn gold foil epics. Like this is absolutely ridiculous. But I ended up doing it, and I settled on to one solution. I said, look, I'm going to participate in the unlock, but I'm going to do it on only one card, and I'm just going to go ham on the one card. And that way, if we do have a rush of new players, or if anything happens and the price of these things do appreciate, because they will be very rare for new players, I will at least have something, right? So I decided to go in on my boy, the Ravenhood Warden. And so
Great
I'm
choice.
I'm currently of the 1,300 Ravenhood Wardens, I've got like 300 of them. So like I've got like five maxed and something like that. So like different BCX, like I'm just kind of sweeping the market occasionally. And the main reason for that is I remember when I started, you know, the Wavesmith was super meta. You know, just having protect in bronze is absolutely ridiculous. And so I decided, you know what? That's where I'm gonna park. That's where I'm gonna park some funds. And so it's nothing ridiculous, but that's where I'm participating in the unlock, you know, is just I'm gonna do the I'm gonna do the Matt Clark approach. I'm gonna buy one, and I'm gonna buy a lot of that one because I think it makes sense. So
Oh, you picked a great card to do it with. That guy is. Well, so what does he have at bronze? It's just the protect.
yeah, it's just to protect.
Yeah,
But it's a four cost protect too. So it's
yeah.
like it's a
That's the little
very
league.
cost
Yeah,
effective one.
Hmm.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think it's bronze meta. And then what I'm finding out, which is pretty interesting, is the max level of these aren't are actually renting okay, I guess. You know, it's not currently at like 12 DEC a day for the max copies, which I don't know.
It
That's
adds up.
fine for me,
Yeah.
I got him to just sit on them, but the fact that there's any demand for those, I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a long-term play. And I feel like that was a great card to kind of rest your bets on. I did, I struggled with that thought process of, oh man, I
Hmm.
got two gold foil Izzyar just sitting here. I'm never gonna play them, but holy shit, that unlock cost is enormous. Like
Hmm.
I can't bring myself to do it and take a wager. I think I had 26 spare BCX of Kulu Masterminds. Uh,
Yep.
Tossed them all into the furnace. I mean, it did. I feel like it did pay off in that, I've done really well with a lot of the rebellion um, uh, glint purchases thus far. My commons are
Hmm.
100%. My rares are like 80%. I maxed
Good.
Olivia. I maxed the Dragon Reaper guy. Um, Legendaries have not been falling my way, but I haven't been buying any legendary draws, so that's ultimately kind of on me. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how rare and available these Chaos Legion Soulbounds moving forward are, and if we get a whole bunch of new players like like the Vision is, uh, yeah, there's got to be a market for that stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, anything else we want to kind of touch on before we put a bow on it?
Mm, there's plenty to talk about. Game's awesome. You guys are awesome, but it is bedtime. It's bedtime.
Oh yeah, Rogue, absolute pleasure as always, man. We love hosting you here. It's so good to see you back in the mix. And just to put it on public record and embarrass Rogue a little bit, when I asked you to come back on, just the very humble RoguePatton hides behind his Discord message of nobody wants to hear from me. I'm a nobody now. And oh, come on, man, Rogue, you're one of my favorite people in this place, dude. It was an absolute pleasant surprise to come up against you. Icing on the cake is I haven't lost to you since you're back.
How many more times can he say it before the episodes?
Well,
I could probably squeeze in
I'm
one or
getting
two
closer. Our last one was a draw. So
It was a
means
draw.
that means we're getting somewhere. And not a draw because we picked the same team. Because Django's picked the wrong team.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another great card, by the way. We were talking shop around now. How do we break the mirror on those? Man, do you guys feel that real quick before we do wrap up? Do you guys feel like the average mana cost has come down, or not
Yeah.
mana cost, mana cap?
Captain, yeah.
I feel like
Oh, in
I
battles?
yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
most of my battles
yeah.
are like sub 25.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I feel that way a lot.
I think it's streaky, and I think that's kind of where I notice that's kind of where my streaks come in. I feel like I have certain mana caps figured out better than others.
Mm.
And so sometimes I end up on the same like range for a while because like looking at my last three, 20, 30, 35, then I got into like 52 and 47 after that. So it's like it's not really jumping a lot.
Hmm. Well, maybe it is more streaky than
Yeah.
I'm
I
giving
feel like
credit to.
I'm like 19, 19, yeah, 23, 32, 19, I feel like
Mm.
I don't know, for whatever reason, at least the last couple of days, like 19 is the number, 17 or 19 have been the numbers that popped up, I feel like the most.
Well, nothing makes you kick yourself more than skipping on Eleanor than 12 mana matches coming back to back to back to back. Oh shit. That's the difference is the zero cost ranged monster. Um
Yep.
all right, gentlemen. Well, again, Rogue, welcome back anytime, man. We'll have to do a battle royale. We'll welcome you back to that mix as well at some point in the not too distant future. Always
Good.
appreciate your insights. Great company, man. Appreciate the conversation and welcome back, dude. Glad to
Thank
see
you,
you.
brother. Thank you.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. We'll catch you next week. We got I believe Azurcon is back in the mix, dropping some more Hive related content, updates, tips, etc. Check out this week's TPG challenge. A couple more days to submit. Use your imagination to create a Yaba summoner is the current topic. I have taken up the mantle. We got a typhoon rolling in, so I had nothing to do, didn't want to work, so I made my submission. Yeah, check it out. A lot of fun. But yeah, tune in next week. We'll see you guys then. You have been listening to
The People's Guild.